Hi, I'm Landon Ainge from Gabb Wireless. We talked at Silicon Slopes Live. Come and watch. I hope you'll subscribe to their channel, Silicon Slopes.
Landon, why don't you tell us a little bit about Gabb Wireless, kind of how you guys got started?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Gabb time.
When we talk about Gabb Wireless, we got started by a father, simply trying to solve the problem of introducing a cell phone to his child. Stephen Dalby's the founder, and he learned from experience that we weren't doing it right. He tried to take more diligence in finding other options out there, and they weren't there. And he had the vision and the opportunity to take advantage and do something about it. I joined quickly thereafter, and my story's a little different. I'm kind of that bridge between where my kids aren't old enough to have a cell phone, and I'm very grateful for that. And now I'm trying to do something about that myself. But I oversee a group of teenage boys, and I'm very close to them. And this mission, as I got to know it, I couldn't help but be gravitated towards doing something about helping kids live this life outside the screen. And that really is our whole goal and purpose, is to introduce and help kids be kids just a little bit longer.
So I know that Gabb is not just a phone, it's a network. Can you explain a little bit about that?
We see that there's a gap in the market, that technology companies are pushing more and more technology, but by being the network, we're able to help control and moderate and introduce in a stepwise function. So we've introduced our first phone, which is our most basic phone. It's called the Gabb Basic. It's a phone that's $100, $99, and it introduces a smartphone-looking device that has all the functional aspects that you would want on a phone, but none of the entertainment aspects. For the introductory phone, we limit it even further to say that there's no group or picture messages. We find that first place of cyberbullying often occurs in group text messaging, and for parents that have experienced it, images and sending back and forth of images is not necessarily appropriate for 8 through 12-year-olds as they get introduced to what a phone is.
Like, what's going on with kids today? Why is it dangerous? And then maybe following up with that, what are some general stories that you've seen talking to parents as you guys have done your research to launch this?
Teens are saying, this is a problem for us. When you talk to parents, you find out that 36% of parents are arguing daily with their kids about the use of technology. So we see the trend that technology is more acceptable, and it's a greater enabler, and it has such awesome power. But with it, we also see that when we introduce it too early, that parents are upset with themselves. The kids don't actually like it, even though they say they want it. If there's one thing you take away and you feel like Gabb phones are not appropriate for you, that's okay. Just don't let your kids sleep with their phone in their room. Fully recommend a centralized charging station for family devices, because that's the number one cause of many of the negative behaviors we see associated with technology. I could tell you what the kids like about our phone. I've talked about two of the things. They like how it looks. The second is they like that it has a camera. Third or second, they're kind of tied. It allows them to connect with their friends. So I had a mom come up to me. She came straight up to me with her daughter. She was like, tell me about your phones. And before I answered the question, I said, can I ask why you're asking? Because she was really excited. And her daughter just gets a smile on her face, and her daughter says, we have a communication protocol. And I look at her, and this girl's 12 years old. I'm like, what is a communication protocol? Essentially, her mother had bought her a flip phone, and she was very upset about that. And the protocol that they had established was mom would call or text, daughter would not respond. Within probably the next 15 minutes, she would either go to the bathroom or go to some place around the corner where her friends couldn't see her, and then she would pull out her phone to call and text her mother back. So this was their communication protocol that they had established, because her mother said, well, you're not ready for a smartphone. And her daughter said, but I'm not going to have a flip phone. So we find that, that pain point of parents really is important. I think we forget what it's like to be a teenager, and appearance is really important to teenagers. Most parents' problem, and the reason they get their kids a phone, is because they want to communicate, and because they're overscheduled and overtired and they need better ways to coordinate with their children. These are the problems they're trying to solve by introducing a phone. And when you introduce these monitoring apps, what you see is, one, they're monitoring. They don't actually filter content. So can't actually control any of the content that they're seeing on that aspect from a mobile app perspective. These parents are coming to us saying, I'm having to spend extra money to monitor, and then it's a part-time job on top of it, and I didn't have time in the first place, so I don't want to be monitoring what they're doing. And so we come in saying, here's a simple solution. This is what the phone can do. And parents are thanking us because they're not hearing it from their kids saying, but I only need this one more app. It's only one more game. It's only one more ability. But that conversation never ends. Whereas ours, it can be more of, when you're ready, we will graduate and we can move to that next step.
So the phone's already in people's hands. People are already using it.
Yep.
And you guys have plans in the future for implementing kind of next step phones so
Yep.
that there's multiple levels. Can you talk to that a little bit, kind of how people are experiencing your phones already and future phones?
Yeah. So our phones are in 1,750 kids' hands right now. It's growing quickly, and we're really excited about that. So our first plan is $19.99 a month. It's unlimited talk and text, no contract. Our second phone that we'll be introducing, we haven't talked too much about it. It'll be a higher tier device with a little bit higher tier plan because of the amount of data consumption associated with group and picture messages. So our service is we're nationwide on a 4G LTE network, which is what everyone else is used to using. However, now things are moving towards 5G. We utilize the towers of the large carriers, and we have great coverage because of that.
Do you guys have any fundraising plans? Do you have any plans in the future for that?
Most definitely. We know that this mission is more than just where we're at. We are in the lower 48 states of the United States, so we're live nationwide. But we know that this mission is so much more. It can't be held back by our limitations. So we are raising capital to scale across the United States and into other countries. We just want to let parents know that, our mission is clear, and it's to protect kids, it's to connect families, and it's to help encourage life outside the screen.